So this story is about Dizzy Dean Davidson, and he was the lead singer for Britny Fox, and then he went off to create another band called Blackeyed Susan. And I remember working at TechCom, and I just that late at night. I mean, it was, I don't know, 6 o'clock or so, and I think the owners wanted to stay open until 6:30 or something like that, or we were staying open till 8. But I remember it was late. I was the only one on the showroom floor. Usually everybody else was in their offices, but my office was the showroom floor. They just put me in a desk out in the showroom floor, so I got to meet everybody, which I think was to my advantage because I met everybody before anybody else did, and I got clients that way. But Dean showed up one day, and he came in, and he was just talking to me about gear, and then it went from gear to talking about politics of the band, and the band that he was in at that time was Britny Fox. And then I don't know if he knew that I dealt with Cinderella, because there were some band members from Cinderella that had gone to Britny Fox. But he talked to me for about an hour or so, and I didn't really do much talking. I was just sitting there and listening to him, and he just kind of spilled all this information out to tell me all this stuff about the band and his personal life, and I was just sitting listening and being nice, and he just seemed like a nice enough guy. And then when he left, I figured, okay, I'll see him another time. And then he went off to make a Black Eyed Susan, which was a rock blues album, rock blues band. And I remember he had in his band was a guy named Tony Santoro. And Tony used to work at Cintioli's Music, and he was a guitar salesman there. And I remember going into Cintioli's, and Tony saw me, and he just grabbed me and he says, please, get me a job, get me out of this place. And I said, Tony, what am I going to do? He said, you know people. I said, Tony, I'll try to help you out. But he was desperate to get out of there. But he's a very good, was a very good guitar player. He passed away, but he ended up in Black Eyed Susan. But the funny thing is, I lent a Black Eyed Susan needed some cables or something like that. They were recording, I think, at Studio 4. Because Randy Cantor produced the record, and I needed some equipment, and I gave it to him. And when the record came out, they thanked me on the record for, I don't know if it was for giving them the equipment, but they just thanked me on the record, which was very nice. But after all that happened with Britny Fox, and then he did the Black Eyed Susan stuff, and then he kind of wasn't doing anything for a while. And my wife, who's a children's performer, and she goes by the name of Daria. Her first album, she hired Dean to produce. I think it was 2 songs of hers on her first album, and I think he played drums and guitar. So my wife went to his studio, and they did the whole thing, and that was it. She paid him, and those songs are on her album. Nice guy, but. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's disappeared from the music industry, but I thought it was interesting for the first time I met him, for him to talk to me so much about life. And I really never saw him after that. So there was my story of the Britny Fox Black Eyed Susan story.